All right, welcome to week 2. Just a word of note, I am not going to be on the video this week in these lessons. I don't really want to explain why at this moment, just logistics, we'll just say that. But you don't need to see me as much as you need to see the material anyway. So we'll just go with that. And then in the future, I'll try to at least make some appearances to remind you that there is a person behind the voice on the screen. All right, so this week we are diving into the first of our units, like actual content units that we're doing, which is writing to secure employment, the job search. Our focus this week is on the job search itself. In the next couple of weeks following, we'll be creating your resumes and a cover letter specific to a particular job you would see yourself applying to at some point. So to get us started, we're going to talk about your professional brand, which is your personality and your presence in the professional world. To present your professional brand successfully, you have to understand what employers are looking for, and then you need to create the materials that they want to see. So what are some of those materials that they want to see? Well, we're going to get to that, but before we can talk about what those materials are, we need to talk about, well, what are some things to keep in mind as you create your professional brand? So we have 5 guidelines here that can get us started. The first thing you want to do is your research. You want to research what kinds of information other people in your industry are putting out about themselves online. What social media platforms are they active on? How do they use those platforms? What kinds of posts and comments do they make? You want to just get to know what people in your chosen industry are doing so that you can jump into that particular conversation with your own brand. And once you've kind of figured some of that out, then you want to think about, well, how do I present myself? The first thing you want to do is tell the truth. Tell the truth about yourself. Don't inflate things. Don't make your positions sound bigger than they were. And don't diminish yourself either. Don't put on an air of humility that will work against you. Yes, being humble is a good quality to have. But when you are putting yourself out in the professional world, you want to balance that with some assertiveness, not aggressiveness, but aggression, but assertiveness. You want to be assertive about who you are, what you're capable of. And you want to be honest about that. And the next thing is you want to be professional. In your communications, you want to show that you can write clearly and correctly. You want to make sure that any information that you're sharing about your current or past employers or colleagues are factual, they're honest, they're positive pieces of information, and that you're not giving away trade secrets. You're not giving away private information about a company, or an employer or a colleague. You want to present your skills accurately. So employers, employers look for particular degrees and certifications. They look for the kinds of publications that they desire you to have participated in, been published in. They look for certain keywords and phrases in the descriptions of the work that you've done or that you do now, you've done in the past, and you want to try to meet their needs by using the language they're looking for, the language they're expecting. And then when you do present your work that you've done, focus on the problem solving that you've done and the accomplishments that you've made. Show that you can identify problems, find solutions, and present your accomplishments as quantifiable data. So, that you have been the project leader on the last 4 major projects that your team has worked on, that you have helped increase revenue by X%, things that have a quantifiable nature to them. You want to focus on that as much as possible. Your challenge is to attract employers successfully, whether or not you're actively seeking employment. So one of the things to keep in mind is that once you enter the workforce, you are effectively a passive job seeker. And that means that there will come to you other opportunities along the way that you're not necessarily actively seeking. And if you follow the process and kind of set up the things that we're talking about here for building your personal brand, you may find people reaching out to you and asking you, would you like to come work for us? Would you like to come interview for this position? Rather than you actually looking for other opportunities. So you're always seeking employment, whether it's active or passive. So once you do kind of figure out your brand, who you are as a professional, what your skills are, your accomplishments are, and how you want to present that, you need to create your online presence. One of the best things that you can do is build a professional website. And we are going to do that this semester in this class. We are building a professional website. Ideally, in the ideal world, you would be able to purchase a domain name that is your actual name, .com or .whatever. For this class, I'm not asking you to purchase anything. You'll use a free version, which will ideally have your name, Weebly most likely.com. And then you'll use that. But ideally you would have like your own name as your domain.com. But this website is going to include your contact information, professional history, any work samples that you can share, links to your social media sites. And so speaking of social media sites, the first one that you want to pay attention to, and the major one, is LinkedIn. If you're not already on LinkedIn, this would be the perfect time to start setting up a LinkedIn profile. This is the major social media platform that's used by employers to find employees. So you want to create a profile that presents your skills, your accomplishments, that uses all of the keywords that you can in your industry and makes you accessible to the kinds of employers that you would want to work for. You want to participate in forum discussions. You want to make connections, and you want to endorse others that you believe are good candidates for whatever, or good leaders, or people that you just want to bring to other people's attention. They make good points. They offer interesting information, useful information, whatever it is. LinkedIn, it takes work, and it takes work to maintain it. And I will be the first to admit that I'm kind of a LinkedIn failure. Although I think I'm kind of motivated now, especially after preparing for this week, to revive my LinkedIn profile this summer and kind of get that more up to date and ready to go. And I'm not actively seeking employment, but I would definitely like certain connections and networking. So that is really the best thing. And that is really, really, really important if you aren't able to have your own website. Because again, LinkedIn is free, but your website is, if you purchase your domain, it's going to cost money, and it'll cost money every year, or every month if you're not able to pay a year's worth up front. Most of the hosting can go month to month, but I mean, that's money you have to put out, and not everyone can build that into their budget. but LinkedIn, you should. And with LinkedIn, like you don't have to be on there every single day if you don't want to. A couple times a week is enough. But be consistent with that and keep up. Don't let it go for months or years or whatever. Speaking of LinkedIn, I just yesterday, I think, came across this TikTok video from JT O'Donnell, who is a professional job coach, and she talks about how she can predict layoffs at various companies. And that really, like, why are we talking about layoffs? It's because of the effects that it has on the job market. So she's talking about this as kind of, I think she uses the phrase, the great restructuring of 2022. And we've probably all seen the articles and the news reports about how people are quitting their jobs in droves, and there's like a lack of help. You know, a lot of places are cutting back on the hours that they're open and the services that they provide, because they don't have enough labor. And that's, you know, that's a very real thing. There is a labor shortage. However, people are also running into the situation that they're seeking jobs, they're seeking a certain kind of employment, and they're not finding job postings for those kinds of jobs. And she's talking about how the situation now is very different than what it was even a couple of years ago. More and more companies are not posting the premium positions. What they're doing is they're sending themselves or their own recruiters onto LinkedIn, and they are looking for the prime candidates and recruiting them directly. So they're not posting a position and waiting for hundreds of people to apply and then going through all those applications and choosing the ones they want to interview. They are instead hand-picking from whom the people they find on LinkedIn to get the best candidates to interview for their positions. So a LinkedIn profile, it's one of the biggest recommendations that I can make. In addition to LinkedIn, we've got the other social media platforms that are that have been around and are commonly used more for social things than professional, but they are just as important. Facebook, well, I can't say most people anymore, but most people do have some familiarity with Facebook, even if you're not on Facebook. A lot of people have kind of, become disillusioned with it, but it is still being used. It is still being used by companies. It's an easy place for different groups and organizations and companies to set up a place, a public forum where people from all over the world can come together and share ideas and have their discussions and even their arguments and get information, make contacts, network, and all of that. So one of the things that you can do is you can create a public page that you use only for professional activities. Use your real name on that, like more official looking real name on that one, and share only things that are related to your field of work, or desired field of work. So you can share information like articles or videos or podcasts or whatever, things like that, that will be interesting and useful to other professionals in your field. Likewise on Twitter, again, set up a professional page and then follow the influential people in your industry to see the kinds of activities, the kinds of conferences that they go to, the kinds of media they consume, the articles they read, those kinds of things, the things that interest them. If they are recommending books or podcasts, check them out. Look for those books and podcasts, listen to them, learn from them. Comment on the tweets that you think are you have something to offer to the conversation, retweet the ones that you find inspiring or informative, that you think others should be aware of, link to relevant media that you come across, and engage with those who message you. People probably will message you if you are actively involved in some of these more professional conversations. And then we're getting a little old school here and a little bit lower tech. So here we're coming to business cards. Create a simple business card that has your contact information, a few phrases about your skills, and the URL to your professional website. I guess today people are even including QR codes for their websites. You could do that if you wanted to. I guess there are different QR code generators that you can use to just get your code and stick it on your business card. You don't have to have a business card that's tied to a particular position and a particular employer. You just need a card that has your information, who you are on it. That's something that's a really handy tool to have, carrying several of them on you at any time. And then along with that, because you don't just hand people your business card randomly, you want to create for yourself an elevator pitch. So an elevator pitch gets its name because the idea is to think about what you could say to a person that you meet in the elevator from the time you get on to the time you leave. The longest that you really have is 20 seconds. So practice a 20-second speech introducing yourself and your credentials and your skills to a prospective employer. Use this speech as an opportunity to then give this person your business card. So get your business card, say, hi, I am so-and-so, I do such and such, and I want this or whatever. I can offer this. I have these skills, and hand your business card to them. They may or may not ever follow up with it, but you've reached out. You have given your information to someone, and you never know when that person is going to say, oh, wait, hey, I met this person in this random elevator, and maybe we could contact this person about this job or this contract or whatever. So good old-fashioned business cards and an elevator pitch. Those are tools you can carry with you anywhere, and they don't require nearly as much maintenance as your social media does. So most of us, we engage with social media in one way or another. And now we're needing to think about how we can engage with social media in a professional manner. That is a major aspect of presenting your brand to the professional world.